Need to fly to South Australia on a working holiday visa to apply.
Thank you very much indeed, Chloe. Well, more on jobs now, because getting a job is hard for many young people at the moment, of course. But if you come from a family where your parents, for instance, don't work, it's even tougher. A new study by the Apprentice Trust has found that 3 million homes in Britain have whole generations who are unemployed. So how can teenagers break out of the poverty trap? Well, joining us is Kamiraz, who set up his own business with the aid of the Apprentice Trust, and a former winner of the Apprentice, Michelle Dewberry, who is now an ambassador for the Trust. Very good morning to you both. Michelle, starting with that statistic, 3 million families affected by this, it seems, OK, the economic environment is bad, but there's almost a cultural element to this. If your friends and family don't work, you don't really expect to as well.
Absolutely, and it can become all you know when you don't have a family that wake up in the morning, set their alarms, have their breakfast, go to work. When that's not there, you kind of wake up when you feel like it and do what you feel like during the day, and that becomes ingrained in you and it becomes all that you know, and it's all about breaking that cycle, because just because your parents do that, there's life out there. You don't need to follow in their footsteps.
Well, let's see a bit from you, Jay. I mean, what happened to you? What's your story? What happened to you, say, after you left school? What was the situation?
I mean, from my experience, I mean, I come from a family where both my parents didn't work. So when I used to go to school, I used to get bullied a lot, and kids asking me, what does your parents do? And it kind of lowered my self-esteem a lot. But then gradually, as I got older...
I mean, just picking up on that it was almost uncool to have ambition.
Yeah, that's correct, yes. And then as I grew older, my brothers and sisters started working, and they became my role model. And I looked up to them, and that's what kind of drove me to seek employment. And that's when the Apprentice Trust came into my life.
OK, we'll talk about that in a moment or two. But Michelle, I mean, does the opposite apply? What about within your family? I mean, you're noted for your get up and go, your entrepreneurial drive. Where did that come from?
See, the catalyst for me was, unfortunately, my sister passed away when I was a teenager, and that was, you know, the day that I woke up and I was like, enough is enough. But before that, I was very much, you know, my friends, my boyfriends, we were all on the council estate, nobody really worked. And I remember the first job interview I ever went for, and I got a little suit from a charity shop, and I went off to apply for an admin job, and I didn't get it. And I remember going back to the estate, and everyone laughed, like literally laughed in my face and said, well, of course, like, who do you think you are? Like, why would you get a job? And nobody could comprehend, like, what on earth I was doing, even considering getting a job. So to try and break out that cycle is hard when that is the peer pressure that you're facing.
And peer pressure of a different kind that you felt, Jay. So what business are you in? How did the Apprentice Trust help?
I run a company called JK Creative Arts, which runs bespoke gospel choirs like Souls of Prophecy Gospel Choir. And I also now work with a scheme called Sing to Smile, which works in empowering different community groups, kind of like building their self-esteem as well. And it's because of the Apprentice Trust. You know, they help me with my business plan, they help me with mentoring, they help me with advice, guidance. And to be honest with you, I've never looked back. I've met some amazing people, you know, through my career, like child music. It's been fantastic.
I mean, is there an element, you know, of kind of acquiring this get up and go, this drive, that, OK, a lot of it has to come from within, but you can acquire it because there are places out there, there's the Apprentice Trust, and many other organisations, there are individuals who you can look up to, who you can talk to. You can say, well, look, you know, actually work is not only rewarding, but it can be fun and fulfilling as well.
I'll give you the example of my brother, my youngest brother. Due to different circumstances, he ended up on the dole, and it has spiralled and spiraled and spiraled. And I've watched my brother, like, literally deteriorate in front of me. He's lost his confidence. He wouldn't get up in the morning. He did nothing. And, you know, thankfully, yesterday he was awarded a work placement, and just the difference in him is unbelievable. He's overnight become more confident. It's unbelievable to see.
I mean, Jay, you know, I suspect there are people watching right now who are unemployed, screaming at the television, saying, you make it sound like it's easy to get a job in this economic climate. Of course it isn't. It is hard. There are many, many people who are unemployed, and they want to have a job. Boy, they desperately want to work. It's difficult, but you're saying that if you keep trying, if you go to the right places, you can find a way.
Perseverance always pays off. You know, if you keep trying, you go to the right avenues. I mean, I called up, I went on Google, and I Googled, you know, Apprentice Trust. I found them online, and I called them up. They invited me for like an interview and a chat, and it was just from there. They were just so supportive. You know, they didn't make you feel inferior. They just just made you feel like, you know, I've got a chance in life and I can go and grab it and do it.
I mean, Michelle, there is a contentious area to all this discussion, isn't there? Because we talk about this culture of being unemployed. It tends to be in pockets, in communities and families, almost, if I can use the word, infected by it. Now, Norman Tebbit, a generation ago when unemployment was high, talked about his father getting on his bike and getting out of that environment. That, as I say, is a contentious attitude to take. But do you think you need something like that to get out of that environment? If you're aware that this is what's affecting you, remove yourself from that situation and go and look for the jobs.
I just think you've got to, what we've got to do is expose our young people to show them there's a different side, because often if you don't know that something exists beyond what you're used to, then you just don't know it's there. But there are so many opportunities, and it's not easy, it's not, and I'm speaking from experience. I got 10 down and 10 down and 10 down, but 3 out of 4 young people that go to the Princess Trust end up in work or education or training. So opportunities are out there, and what you've got to do is just believe in yourself and just want better for yourself.
But I mean, Jay, what about people who just say, well, look, you know, I love my family. I want to stay with my family. I want to stay around my mates. Okay, there aren't any jobs around here. I'm just about surviving on benefits. Why should I remove myself? Why should I try this hard? That is a problem, isn't it?
Well, to get a better chance in life, I think. You know, if you just stick in one way of thinking, you're never going to move forward. So I think it's important to kind of like go out there, you know, go out there, look for the help and see, okay, you're happy with what you got, but maybe you can make it even bigger by going and getting the help from people at Princess Trust. That's what I think. For me, I mean, I was always driven because I wanted to do something. My parents didn't work, my brothers and sisters were my role model, but I wanted more, and I wanted to become my own businessman, and the Princess Trust helped me become one.
Okay, well, I hope we've offered some inspiration to some of the people watching out there. Jake, Michelle, thank you very much for your time.